Boom, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Danny Pessy Show. And today, I have got a treat for you guys. Business owners and leaders, listen up. How do you scale your organization and keep your costs low? You're going to want to listen to this. I'm here with the HomeSourced guys. If you don't know who they are, you're about to find out. But this is your solution to keeping overhead low and scaling your business. I've got Zach and Shay here, Sway, and they're going to persuade you on why their services are fantastic. I personally use them, and I've recommended them to multiple clients of mine, and some of my biggest clients are currently utilizing them and helping them scale their organization. As you guys know, solar is a roller coaster. They call it solar coaster for a reason, and when you start hitting those lows, you've got to start looking at where you can cut. And as you're going to continue to build your organizations, it's really fun to ride those highs. But when things start to slow down, what is still there? It's your overhead. And you got to start thinking as a business owner, as a manager of a sales organization, and even as a sales rep, what can you do to keep your costs low? And that's what today's subject is. This is going to be for business owners, managers that are looking to keep their overhead low, but still scale their organizations. So tune in and you're going to hear all about on this episode of the Danny Pessy Show. All right. So guys, why don't you take a sec to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your relationship. Zach, we'll start with you and then we'll go to the best looking. You start with old, go to new on this share. So why don't you first tell us a little bit about your history in the space? And what's so cool is you guys are both from the space and now you're serving the space. Similar to me, as I came from the space and now I'm in a position where I'm still in it selling, but I also serve as well. And so it's cool to see that you guys know what needs to be served in this space and providing a specifically tailored product and service to it, that you know the space, you're from it, and you can help maximize these companies and help them remain profitability. So tell us a little bit about your story and tell us where you started off, what you know, and what your role here is at HomeSourced.
Sure. My name is Zach Brown. I'm Chief Revenue Officer. My history outside of solar, I guess solar started back in 2009. It's also in the door-to-door space, the alarm side of it. I think the other thing that makes me look like a real rookie compared to this guy and his tenure, but makes us balanced, is I've always been self-employed. I've always been on the business owner side of it. So when you talk about lowering your operational costs, it's also just as important to know the predictability of your operational costs. So everything from sign marketing companies to restaurants to call centers to, you name it, the many 9 lives that Sway swears I've lived.
I only know 5 of them.
Yeah, well, 5. Still a story to be told. But so I think bringing into this space and our unique product to the industry, it's for me, biggest benefit I have on the client side is understanding it as the business owner and trying to manage those, not only costs, but the ups and downs like you're talking about the solar coaster. And being able to wager that. We see too many times with clients or past clients or whatever, that when times get tough, they cut back office because it costs so much, but really they had a sales problem. But the giant payrolls and the giant lease spaces can be pretty inhibitive. So
got it.
That's a 10,000 foot view.
That's a 10,000. So if you're wondering what the heck we're talking about here is, hey, how can we afford talent at a cheaper price? And if that's what you're running an organization, how can you keep your overhead low? That's what you need to be listening on. So if you just start up your dealer, you're running a dealer, you're running an EPC, we're going to hear right now from Sway what his recommendations are, a little bit about his story and where you fit in. And then we're going to go into the 3 tiers that these guys can provide a service. And we'll give you guys a couple little nuggets to hear how you can maximize your organization. So why don't you share with us a little bit on about your background? I know you got quite an extensive background.
Yeah, thanks. I'm Sway, COO of HomeSourced. I've been in the space for about 11 years now. Started out in the installation side of the industry from installer 1, got into a crew lead position. Then we built out an actual office in Arizona when we were with Solar City. Then I jumped into door-to-door for the first time about 8 years ago. I was knocking doors, pounding the pavement, got into the upper echelons of the sales guys there. I didn't realize I was in the mecca being in Arizona with the teams out there in the Southwest regions. And then we started building teams, recruiting, scaling, and then everyone remembers the Tesla crash. I was part of that. And
Yeah, I saw one of those on the freeway today too.
yeah, a couple of them in the parking lot. From that point forward, you saw the largest entrepreneurial boom in solar from all of these D2D guys who had no home. So they started dealerships, and then, roll in the Redline model. Got into that, started a dealership, fell on my face on the dealership in Rhode Island, came back to Utah, found a home as a director of HR recruiting. And then, from that space forward, started jumping around, kind of going through what you said, those twists and turns of the solar coaster. And then I found my niche and my little nook here with HomeSourced. And like you said, being able to service an industry that I've seen from every vantage point in every position.
Yeah. And so that's the thing, guys. So if you're watching this right now and you're listening, you have staff, you have a salary that you pay to teams to help facilitate your organization. What HomeSource does is they provide BPO services, which is overseas, where you can get essentially the same quality of staff at a cost-effective price. And anywhere from being a sales rep to a sales manager to a sales org leader to an EPC, they provide product and service for you guys up and down the board. So we're going to break down the 3 different categories: the sales rep side, the sales dealer, and sales manager, kind of the similar one. And then we're going to talk about what an EPC can utilize with HomeSource. So let's talk about the rep situation right now. Sales reps right now, average reps making $50,000 to like $150,000, $200,000 a year in solar. Some more, obviously, some less, obviously. So what is some of the things that if a sales rep's selling, he's making a good amount of money, what type of sales rep are you looking for? One that's putting in volume, one on the lower end scale, or is this got to be a service that it's something that a rep can maintain by only making $50,000, $60,000 a year? Let's jam on that for a little bit.
I'll take that one. When it comes to the solar side of things, and especially I'm assuming a lot of our listeners are going to be on the doors, right?
Yeah.
So when you're on the doors, you have enough stress that's going on in your life to just making sure that you're out there talking to enough homeowners that all of us know the systems on the back end are going to be a real shit show for all of us. Yep. Keeping up to date, updating your dispositions, whatever it is. You have so many things you have to do on the back end that, 100% you could afford our clientele, or say our entry-level rep is going to be like $787 an hour. Okay. All right, so for $1,500 a month, would you be willing to offload and gain back 30-40% of your actual workload?
Got it.
Right, so then you could put that towards new clientele, maybe more creations or innovative ways of lead generation, something along the lines of finding more ways to find clientele versus doing the mundane, repetitive work.
Got it.
And not to skip over it, but we're used to saying it out loud so much. So when we say $787, it's $7.87 an hour.
Oh, right. Not still.
Well, yeah. Or $787.
Yeah.
Which
both I wouldn't flinch at.
Yeah. No, I think the other thing from a sales rep perspective, regardless where you are on production or income, is being self-actualized to know who you are as a sales rep. And there's a lot of really good qualities, but organization and follow through often aren't the best attributes that come out of any sales guy.
Yeah.
And so being able to bolster that up and across the board, and you'll hear as we communicate it, our main job is trying to remove the pain points or the friction with what you have. And, with that, it might be organizationally.
Yeah. And what keeps coming to mind is I was on a day trip to a client on the West Coast, and the sales rep that I talked to did over 200 installs last year. Fantastic. And I sit down with them, and he's just bitching and complaining about the EPC and all the problems with customer service that he's having. And he's like, I spend half my day dealing with customer service and the other half I spend knocking. I'm like, hold on a second. You sold 200 and half the day you were dealing with stuff you shouldn't be dealing with? He's like, well, no, I have to do it. I got to do customer service. And I'm like, brother, did someone ever tell you that that is not what you should be doing? Because you think good customer service is taking care of your client. The best customer service is getting people away from the utility company. And so by you taking time and customer servicing rep customers you've already closed, you're actually providing bad service to the people that are stuck with the utility companies. Whereas if you were to pay someone to offload some of that stress and some of those problems, you could actually go out and produce 10x more deals.
Not to mention if they're in the field that likely don't have all the tools to even procure a solution for it.
Yeah. And so, and I said, it's like, dude, you made what? Almost $1 million last year, and you're not willing to invest $20,000-$30,000 or whatever the cost is. Was it 15,000?
Like less than 8,000.
For the year?
Yeah.
Bro. So, God damn, dude.
It depends on how much you're working, right?
Yeah. So you could pay $8,000 for a year and never have to deal with another customer service issue again. And I told him that. And the thing was, for him, he was more emotionally attached with the busyness than the efficiency. And I had to work through that with him. And it really just came down to, he had some skeletons in the closet that he needed to deal with to have space in his calendar to go out and work more. So once you work through that, he realized once you start offloading some of this workload, you keep the main thing, you don't have to deal with the crappy stuff. The hard part is getting out and knocking. So if you can delegate that to somebody and manage it, it's 10 times easier. And so if you're a sales rep right now and you're selling volume, you need to pay somebody to take this workload off your plate. And the strategy is you get this agent, okay, after you get the deal, say, hey, you're going to communicate efficiently going forward with this representative. And you say, this is Sarah. We're going to group text you, and she's going to give you updates on your project going forward. And any issues or questions you have, you can add them into the group chat, and Sarah will get back to you as soon as possible. And if she can't answer these calls or answer any of these questions, I'll chip in and help you too as well. And my goal is to get as many of these things in before the utility company starts fighting back. So that's why I'm not going to be able to facilitate all of your questions, but I've trained Sarah very well, and she'll take very good care of you. And she's part of my team, and now so are you. So
elite sales reps are obviously already doing pipeline management, right? They're getting referrals. They're really keeping up with customers. A lot of that is what needs to be outsourced, because what separates, say, a great sales rep from, say, a business owner is the ability to trust delegation.
Yep.
Right? Delegation comes from your own trust and being able to actually train somebody to do what you're doing, to be able to talk about the execution and what it's supposed to look like, almost like storytelling.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you can really tell a story of what it's supposed to look like and paint the vision for somebody, and then teach them step by step the process of what it's going to take to actually execute on it, then you're going to have a successful backflow. You can trust your training to trust the person to execute. And that's really, for me, and what I've seen in business over the last decade in solar, the difference from people who actually elevate and get out of the sales role itself, or get to a point where they really maximize their time overall and income, is through delegation.
Yeah.
Right? Because that is really difficult.
because you can't scale otherwise.
Yeah, and there's a control factor there, right? Like everyone has this control freak mindset. Like if I don't do it, it won't be done right.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you don't trust yourself to train somebody to do it right.
Yeah.
And if you have a process like, this isn't, I'm not paid advertisement through Pipedrive or Monday.com. If you haven't looked at these account management tools that are super cost effective, super affordable, and you pair it with something like one of our agents, and then you just teach them the process on the back end, you just gained back half the day.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
and the stress, dude. Like, you don't want to deal with that. Like, you get paid for 3 things: selling, recruiting, training. If you're not doing that, you're wasting money and you need to delegate it. And I tell reps this all the time is, if you don't capitalize on this opportunity, you're going to struggle. Right now it's September, or it's, August, almost August in 2023, and solar numbers are down 40% across the board. And so the thing is it's going to start popping up. And when it's high, people are going to continue to think, oh, well, I don't need to scale down or anything like that. But when it gets high, that's when you really want to start dialing in these systems and processes, so that when it starts to get low, you've capitalized on it and focused the most amount of time knocking. Like 12 months ago, it was insane. And guys were making the most they've ever done in solar. And if you were spending half your time back then selling or dealing with pipeline, what would you do to get that time back when interest rates were 0.99?
But I think the quick version of how I interpret what you're saying is it's kind of irrelevant on the 40% down, to be honest, because what we're talking about is selling more effectively rather than just selling more quantity.
Yeah.
You know, like you can replace that 40% by being more effective with the tools like this. And ready for the pullback?
No, but I'll do it anyway.
Here's the pullback. If you think this is someone that's a genie in the bottle for you, this is not your solution.
Yeah.
If you're willing to put in the work to train the person and have them be your right-hand man, an extension of yourself, which really just takes communication, which honestly, these sales reps should be good at least communication. And but that's the pullback. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, and you got to teach and train these guys too as well. So that's the big thing is you get an agent, you got to teach them, you got to train them. It's via text messages, so you can teach them what to do in this situation. What I'd say is have another conversation offline for any questions that they receive that they don't know for them to text you so you can help train them. And then FAQs, handle that, give it to them, and then you're freaking set. And so, like I said, that's going to help you out a ton because if numbers are down 40%, then you get rid of all the time you're wasting and you put in double the hours, you're just more efficient. Your numbers are right back up where they're supposed to be. So you can blame your company and say, oh, I've got pipeline management with my company. If you're relying on your company, guys, you're in trouble. No one cares about your money more than you. Your agent needs to be communicating with the company and tag teaming this because guess what? The sales rep makes a lion's share of the commission. So you can't expect their small margins to facilitate all of this. They're going to help, but it's not the end all. You have to start taking responsibility for it. So like I said, that's a huge key for sales reps. So if you are a sales rep, I'm going to be having a tag on the post here and there'll be a way for you to contact up HomeSourced and get more information and look at what a rep will be. But definitely reach out if you are selling volume and making good money. This will literally make your life so much easier. And so as we transition, next I want to talk about, okay, you own a sales org, right? Let's say I'm starting up a sales org and I hired Danny Pessy to come in, get my sales side all dialed in. Now I need some staff. HomeSourced, what can you guys do for me?
Well, first and foremost, if we're comparing us to any typical hiring process or whatever, or even speaking to the outsourced world, it's you that's in charge of all that sorting. We have a very robust HR department that handles that and helps you source it according to your criteria. So the action of making it happen is actually probably one of our strongest suits.
Okay. Love it. So what roles? All right, now I got to hire a payroll person. Okay. So I got a deal with an EPC and they're going to pay me and then I got to pay my reps. What can you do for me in this situation?
Yeah, data entry is one of our main positions that we fulfill for a plethora of companies. Anything that's going to be done beyond the computer, right? Like you said, payroll, accounting, depending on what software you're using, whatever you want to train your agent to do, we could find the specificity you're looking for, like the characteristics. You just have to give us everything you want. Okay. And through that, we can go ahead and source somebody who's going to be what I'd like to call 80% of the way there, because it's up to you to get them to 100%, to teach them your DNA, to teach them your workflows, your SOPs. You're essentially setting your expectations for them, making sure that they have the tools necessary to be successful. But when it comes to sales orgs themselves, like think about like a lot of the communication you're doing with sales reps asking about commission reports. Okay. That is like every sales leader's like nightmare. Everyone, every week, oh, this is off. I'm missing this. Price per watt's off. I didn't have this ad, or what's this clawback? And really, it's just sales rep not checking their pipeline properly to understand what's going on. And sure, I'm not saying that all APCs are perfect, but I could tell you, seeing the back end, 50% of those questions are questions that they could have found answers to. And if you would have had somebody outsourced to oversee your pipeline, you'd have a lot of what you're looking for already.
Makes sense. So yeah, so basically I'm a sales dealer. Now I'm going to have somebody managing the company pipeline. Then also you guys can handle my payroll. And then I can get an accountant to start going over the numbers and everything like that. Do I need to have somebody between me and the agents? Would you recommend having someone that's a right-hand man, that's an admin in an office, and she maintains all the relationships? Because I'm out selling, training guys, recruiting. I don't have time to look over that. What do you guys recommend in that situation?
One layer. always recommend one layer. And that's simply just as a filter, right? You're going to have so much cost savings on the amount of individuals that you're saving money on operationally, that to have somebody that is, somebody in your network that you trust, you've built with, again, we don't want to make it so that we're taking jobs from anyone. We want to build outside of the jobs you already have filled. So if you have one admin person, fantastic. That's your leader, point of contact who oversees everybody. And then you go ahead and build them a team. Okay. And then from that point forth, as long as you have one leader, then you obviously know how, my favorite word here, Zach, mitosis works. You replicate from there by
long story behind that.
Long story, I know.
I mean, with the sparks, they really had.
So you have a leader, and that leader can replicate themselves, and then from that point forth, you just have that inception of leadership. So you just have to have somebody you can confidently trust, and you've already taught them everything they need to know, and then they can go ahead and build from there.
So yeah, always one's not people.
Yeah, exactly.
Best systems, not people.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too, is scaling out an organization. It's extremely tough and expensive. It's just like just today earlier we were seeing about a local EPC that's laying off a majority of their company, and it's crazy right now. And it's just like all the expenses, all the salaries that just got cut, was if you could do that for a fraction of the price, it would freaking kick butt. So
it's been a saving grace for a lot of companies to be able to transition that way. So like Sway said, we're not in any type of goal type to be cannibalizing anybody's workforce, rather than making their current agents and employees better and more effective.
Yeah.
So, and then as far as the training side of that is just having had restaurants, I tend to lean sometimes towards restaurant analogies, but you can have a lot of people that know how to cook, but they have to know their systems.
Yeah.
That every chef, executive chef is going to run his kitchen differently, and that's really what that can mean.
I can see you being a person in a restaurant a lot.
Dude, fire cook.
Yeah? No, I've been one that he eats a lot.
I actually thought that was a fat comment, but no, I made some bomb shrimp tacos. Didn't know.
No, when we were in the Philippines, he barbecued for 400 people.
Got it. So the crew's in the Philippines then, right? Cool. Yeah, sweet.
Cebu, Philippines.
Cebu, Philippines.
You look it up. You'll want to go vacation there. And once you have a team there, we'll house you.
Dude, that's it.
Just there. Yeah.
And you go hang out. The Philippines sounds like a fantastic place. I'm able to visit Southeast Asia after some incidents I had last time, but if I get back in, I definitely will. So
I think I don't even have to have. Yeah, I believe you.
No, it was a hell of an experience. So sales orgs, you got payroll, commissions. You want to have a right-hand person handling everything, and then they're communicating directly with the team. So if any,
and to clarify, that's not an absolute necessity, just depending on the role that you're doing and the scale.
Yeah.
Right? So if you had a one-off person, that could be managed.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a one-for-one scenario, but
okay.
We talked about payroll and accounting, but like as sales orgs, we all know onboarding is a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Onboarding, logins, tracking of it, confirming of trainings, making sure that everything is comprehended from the get, fixing things, password changes, like you name it.
Verify that everybody's t-shirt size is the medium.
There you go. Yeah. Making sure that everybody gets what they're supposed to get on the onboarding. Onboarding is super tedious, super stressful.
Yeah.
If you can outsource that, right, and you just make sure you're just smiling, making sure everyone got what they're supposed to get and you're ready to go.
Yeah, makes sense. So next, we got that side of it. Now, let's say a company's creating some video content. They don't have anybody to edit it. I personally utilize editors here to help facilitate with all the content that I'm creating. What other services do you guys have in terms of content creation, social media, all that stuff?
You're going to break out the inner nerd over here. So I'll go for it.
Graphic designs, video editing, web designs, mood boards. You can go as far as you want to take it when it comes to building out your personal brand. Mine, I had he's my homie. I like to call him a VA for everyone who's going to be thinking about what that position looks like, but it's a virtual assistant, somebody who, again, handles a lot of the things that you don't need to be doing, right? So you can have conversations like this, innovate, have more of a strategy conversation around things, but everything and anything, like all social media platforms, right? You already understand how many softwares are out there. Get a VA, get them a course for a software, and then have them post on every social media account you need. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, you name it. You can have that all outsourced, and all you have to do is say yay or nay as to what's being created.
Oof. Not to mention a consistent product every single time it comes out. It's the same hands that are on it. And we commonly use the analogy of, or example of, how many people have a camera roll on their phone that is just chock full of like, I did this, array on a house or whatever, or selfie with a customer or whatever, that all's wrapped around good intentions.
Yeah, but it's never get posted.
And therefore it doesn't get traction there.
Yeah.
My buddy told me the hardest thing about social media or posting is pressing record. And then from pressing record is to then, it is so difficult to really do the editing to a standard that you would enjoy.
Yeah.
And then from that point forward, there's posts, like there's so many like complexities that go into that process. I'll be quite honest.
Yeah.
I outsourced it.
Yeah.
There's no way I was going to do it on my own. And so, I took that jump myself, and I'm a product of that I preach, right?
Yeah. Makes sense. And that's funny because, I'm the same way. I don't do anything. I don't post on my own social media. I have a team do everything for me. I'm posting 2 to 3 good contents a day, good editing. And I don't do any of it myself. I don't even watch any of it myself too. I don't like listening to myself. I don't know.
You sound pretty good.
I know. I mean, it's a combination of genetics and, being a trained, polished professional. But, for me personally, it's just, I don't like listen to myself. So, but yeah, overall, I think that's a great way for companies to continue to make presence. Because I get people asking me, hey, how can I recruit more? It's like, well, hey, how can you get more attention in the market space? It's just a consistent workflow of having guys post and do that stuff. And it's tedious. It doesn't make you money. So delegate it to somebody, because it doesn't make you money now, but it makes you money in the future. When reps are looking to shop around, they see the company that's got the most, constant engagement and continues to post.
Yeah, well, let's be honest. These days, as we're getting into the younger generations, instantly, as soon as you say the name,
I was an old guy.
I'm an old guy right now. I get it. Yep.
I'm not.
Yeah. Think about the first place somebody's going to go to the venue. It used to be your website.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Everyone's going to Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. They're all going to the socials, because that is where the news and Tinder. Our Tinder profile is lit. You guys will swipe right every time.
Very impressed. I just use pictures of other men. Dude, Brad Pitt's very popular. So and then the big surprise when they come over, like, who the hell is this? I'm like, hey, couldn't make it.
Well, it's nice to fine tune that product that tells a story for you, so you don't have to look like the arrogant ass that's talking about yourself.
Yep. Yeah. Who would ever do that? Not me. So we got social media stuff dialed in. We've got engagement with clients, back end support, all that. What other stuff can a sales org get into that you can think of, or do we dive into what an EPC needs?
Competitions, recruiting, sales orgs, right? Like that stuff's really tedious keeping up. But imagine if you could just send a number to somebody, they spin up a document, or they have a dashboard that's just going to make it look super pretty, and all you have to do is just make sure that they get the correct numbers and the correct data.
Okay, so they get something in a computer software, they see the numbers, they put it onto this thing and update every single day. Hey, this person's at this guy's winning the competition. Yeah. Frank sold 6, Steve's at 2, Frank's proceeds to the next round.
Yeah, I need this updated by 7:57 a.m. every morning, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
Oh, even just from a sales management perspective, and I'm just kind of throwing this one out there, but even like blitz management, when you know what area you're going to, the permitting that you're going to have to get to, available hotels. Like I sold a lot in Texas, and you could walk to be in Midland, Odessa all you want, but all the hotels are taken by the oil guys, and so it's like, let's to our advantage in that way. So like, do you think it's about some of that tedious stuff and the pain points and taking those away? And that's another massive tool.
The last one I'll bring up, and he brought a good point on blitzes, is market research.
Okay.
Right? That is super tedious.
Yeah. Find out what type of people are there.
Type of people, utilities, price per watts, like the viability of solar. You can get them on Google Sunroof to see exactly like the viability of solar exposure and sun hours. Like it goes as deep as you want the rabbit hole. Research.
What type of hoops you'd have to run through on permitting, which could be
how fast turnaround times are going to be for those states. Like
Got it. So let's say you tell your agent, hey, I'm doing these blitzes across the country. Tell me everything about this. And you know, this.
And you categorize it on this is hospitality, this is permitting, and this is blah, blah, blah. And just on a checklist and
Thinking home run, and you get to work.
yeah.
Dude, that's sick. Anything else we think for Salesforce? Are we looking at EPCs now?
Yeah.
And like we've talked about a lot in the past, it's so hard because you make up the role, you make up your pain point, and if it's behind a computer, it can be done virtually. We can do it. So that sounds so generic and almost disingenuous, but try us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I again, it does sound that way because you're not familiar, you haven't been tenured with or experienced it. But the one thing I like to say about it, because we work with so many companies, everyone slices their cake a little bit different. You know, there's many ways to skin a cat. And everyone creates these like really creative type of positions specific to their process. So it really is a blank canvas. We'll give you the paint. Go ahead and paint what you need, or teach somebody else how to do it and tell us what you're looking for, and we'll go ahead and get that.
Yeah, because I have one where this is my strategic analyst for cockpit fitness bubble. You're like, oh, you mean admin? Okay.
So let's talk about my life like that.
Look, what accent was that? What the hell is that voice? Jeez Louise. God dang. All right, man, that was a terrible impression. But so with that terrible impression, we're going to transition into EPC services. So guys, if you're an EPC, listen up. What can you do to help me? I run an install crew. Let's say we'll do A, B, and C. Small org, okay? Got 3 to 5 crews. Then there's a 5 to 20 crew, and then 20 plus crews. What can you do for the little guy on EPC services?
Well, I think it's probably more effective to answer the question broadly first.
Okay.
That's what I always say is we don't sell it, and we don't install the panels on the roof.
Okay.
And so every step that happens in between
That's what you guys handle.
is what we do. And honestly, it really, small guy or big guy,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It's just multiplication.
Yeah, but if we're going like package A, you're getting the basics. We're going designing CADs, right? We can send that over for structural electrical engineering, permitting, interconnections, PTO, monitoring. Like every installation company has to do this. Oh, and schedule. They all have to do that. So that's for small, medium, large, no doubt. Like that's what's going to be inside of the box A. As you start to scale further out, well, now you have to do a little bit more like supply chain, right? You're starting to get into like the fine tuning and the details of optimization that a SEP or an install company would be banking their P&L, right? Because as you start getting into that, you really start fine tuning and trying to reduce soft costs as much as possible. So scalability is what we like to say. Without liability is a lot of what we do as what we would call like a robust staffing agency. And then you also have the scalability without the overhead.
Yeah.
Right? Because as you're coming into this media or the small to medium size, it's really being effective at scaling and keeping profitability. So imagine if you could have, say, 50% of your workforce outsourced. We're going to reduce that cost of what normally maybe 65% of it would have to be paying somebody stateside.
And not to add another word that ends with ability, but
Flexible.
No, I think
Disability?
vulnerability.
Oh.
So I think that this is on the EPC side of it. I think probably the biggest thing to overcome is because number one, the very thought of this sometimes feels like losing control, and it doesn't have to be that way, or it can be absolutely that way if they want. And what I'm referring to is a lot of times when we speak about outsourcing or having jobs that aren't within your office, people worry about losing control of that. Well, a really awesome solution is to make your current staff more robust in what they're currently doing. So is this to try to take everybody's jobs away? No. This is too good of you. But is it going to make Susan's work output look that much better when she has a supporting staff that's dedicated and qualified? And the other big misnomer, just to kind of, I guess, speak to the quality side of that, is a lot of times people think that with an outsourcing or overseas type job, so you're getting, snot-nosed kids out of high school, like applying for these jobs. Like, I can't tell you how many, even just like in our CAD departments or college grads that have a massive electrical engineer, master's degree.
Structural engineers.
Our art director was professor at the university there on the island. Would rather work for us.
DeVry University.
What's that?
DeVry University.
No.
Universities. Same kind of same but different.
Okay.
No, but really, like, the quality of candidates that you get is, I mean, we've been around it, and we constantly, like, behind the scenes are all going, dude, just,
Yeah.
do you know what that guy used to do?
Yeah. Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it's
Pleasantly
awesome.
surprised.
So I guess removing the vulnerability card of realizing that you're giving up something to get this opportunity, it can be building off of what you have, or it can be how the conversation first started on, you know, how do you make your operational costs more affordable?
Yeah.
There's a why that starts at the beginning of this conversation. Like, why are you here? Why are you considering this kind of thing? But I just want to speak the vulnerability on that one.
So to tag along, I'm going to use the word I used earlier on the ability and its flexibility when you get to large scale, right? EBITDA. Anybody who's a big company is going to be talking about their EBITDA and their profit. We offer a diversification in the workforce that we can actually include into your portfolio, because these are your agents. This is your team, and we can get as divisive, or we can get as many lines drawn as we need to make it show that you have your own company and you have your own workforce, and we'll house that for you.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
So how do they like to communicate, Sway?
Who?
Our agents or the clients?
How do they like to communicate with who?
Yeah, what are the options?
Facebook?
Exactly. Anything you want.
Oh yeah, literally.
So that
It's a trick question.
it was.
Well,
Well, yeah. The point, and now I'm going to do another ability, but accessibility is another huge thing that
Yeah, you're right.
people are often surprised with. That although your agent might be 7,000 miles away, every bit of your accessibility, whether it's from a tech perspective or hours worked, because they'll usually match whatever hours you request, but should feel like the office next door.
Gotcha.
So if your org is really strong on, say, Google Meets, or if it's Facebook or text, or back, like, I'm the old guy in the room, I like to pick up the damn phone and have a conversation.
Boy, does he.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Damn.
He talks.
Go to sleep, Zach.
You guys chose to be my fans.
Yeah, one time he went into the story about World War II, like for 2 hours. I'm like, bro, you weren't even there. He's like, but I know somebody who was. I'm like, no, you don't. Very interesting. I get a little sidetracked.
Very interesting, man.
I'm sure he's.
I can hear you guys.
Yeah.
I hope so.
So there you have it, guys. Everything as an EPC that besides panels on the roof, selling the deal or panels on the roof, you guys handle the rest. And for an organization, they're roughly going to be able to save 65% of their money right off the bat.
Right off the bat, yeah.
And I do want to touch on another thing, because a lot of times we talk about the cost. Now I want to talk a little bit about the employment crisis that we're in.
Oh, yeah.
And how we don't have one in the Philippines.
Okay.
We've talked about their qualifications, very qualified people, very happy people, good to work with.
Happy and hungry.
Yeah, the happy and hungry. And like, so at any given point, we need to really flex on our size, but we're over 1,000 agents strong, 38,000 roughly square feet of office space. Very nice buildings, very good accommodations for the agents. The agents are happy. So everything that some people might have thought about outsourcing in the past,
Yeah.
this is, no different than these fancy Silicon Slopes buildings.
So you take care of the peaks.
Phenomenal.
That's where it's.
Phenomenal. Our 11th floor, we have a fully industrial sized kitchen. We got a cafe, pool tables, Xbox. Our 5th floor has an infirmary. One of our buildings, we're building out an actual hospital on the 1st floor. Like, some of the shit we're doing is
And that's at no cost to the agents.
no cost to the agents. One of the benefits of being part of our company. If you guys want to see any of it, at Sustainable Sway on Instagram, and anything that says HomeSourced inside of my reels, you'll see You'll see the office space. You'll see us interacting with clients or the agents themselves. It's really cool.
Good, I think, man. And wage-wise, that's another common question we get people asking about. We take good care of our agents to the tune of 1.5 to 2.5 times what they typically make in the area.
Okay.
The entire HomeSourced structure is built by our very good friend and CEO, was always with intent to do good for the people of the Philippines. That's where his wife's from.
Yeah, he married a Filipino lady. She's really nice.
Yeah.
His kids too. Half
Yes.
Filipino, half white. Who would have thought?
Beautiful.
They're awesome.
This-
They're totally Filipino.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, the story's phenomenal. Like we'll probably cry like we go too far into the story, but he was, from the ground up, he worked in an outsourcing company, saw the imperfections, he saw the way people take advantage of the way things worked. And then he had a select few friends who was like, let's just do it ourselves. And, fast forward 4.5 years later, and we're this force to be reckoned with now. And it's really cool because it was all built on the premise of this can be done better.
Yeah.
Watch me. And now we're at a point where we'll
Take share with shoulder space.
Yeah, I want to share that.
Well, and it's, we were just having a conversation with another person in the office that the unique thing about what Sway and I do and as a company is it's pretty seldom, having lived those 9 lives and done a ton of different things, that we feel just as fulfilled completing what we say we're going to do for the client, but then also knowing that we're doing good for our friends and family in the Philippines.
Yeah.
That is, it's like full circle where the gratification, it's almost a little self-serving, and I know it sounds cheesy, but that it works out on both sides.
Just shooting cheesy action shins. That's a double cheeseburger.
Well, I'm the dad man.
Yeah, I love it. But to that, not to throw too much more into the scientific jargon here, but I love to say we're symbiotes. We only work together. Like, it's a synchronized growth. We only grow if you grow. Right?
Anyone can fact check, and he's like Steve's big words.
Yeah, please do. I do have a background. I have a bachelor's in science.
He's so the guy's a scientist. I told you guys earlier. My girlfriend is actually. I think she's a scientist.
Yes.
Oh yeah, she keeps experimenting with other men. It's unfortunate, but hey, happens to the best of
I
us.
see a lot of the scientists.
Can I outsource my women? Dude, his girlfriend got to get rid of her.
Let's not get on air about that. But talk to me.
There we go. So guys, thank you freaking for coming and sharing with the space. You guys are at the conferences. I get people all the time trying to tap into space. I tell them no if they're not participating in the community, because this community is my home. I've been born, raised here. And, I'm very hesitant on outsiders that are just here to take money from the space. You guys have participated. You show up to the conferences. You guys all come from this space. I've never been, more happy to put my endorsement on a company, and appreciate you guys coming through and helping me out personally. I hired you guys as clients, and you guys have kicked butt for me. Now it's like, hey, who other people in this space can essentially save money? Because if they can save money on their operations, they have more money to spend with me, helping me help their organization grow. So that's my big MO here, to help everybody make more money and everybody wins, just like solar. Solar works good for the customer, works good for the sales rep in the company, and it works good for the planet. So the thing is the utility companies, they might not like it, but hey, to be honest, they can go F themselves. Edison, if you're watching this, come at me. Send your lawyers guns a-blazing, baby.
They're altruism, bro. And that really is, this is ideal.
Autism?
Altruism.
Oh, altruism. Oh, I was going to say, bro.
I mean, I'm slow, but not that slow. So that's it, guys. Where can we find you guys on Instagram? Your personal, and then we'll talk about
We're HomeSourced.
You can find me at Sustainable Sway, SWAY, sustainable, exactly how it sounds. HomeSourced, you can find at HomeSourced _Inc. And
HomeSourced.com.
HomeSourced.com as well. I love to say the tagline, it's not outsourcing when you're HomeSourced, simply because you are going to have that touch and feel of something that seems to be like your neighbor or the company next door, because we do our best to make it feel that way.
Absolutely.
Love it. They take me up.
No, it's low barrier to entry.
Granddad, he is not over here.
They didn't have Instagram, dude. It's crazy. Hey, look up his MySpace.
Yeah.
So
AOL.com.
that's it. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in. If you guys want the connection, mention you saw this podcast. They got something special for you guys. So if you're running your organization, this is the place to do it. They'll help you out and get it rock and rolling. So thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Danny Pessy Show. We'll see you next time.